Welcome to Getting to Know Yahowah's Beryth family, where we get to learn about the members of Yahowah's covenant family. I hope you will join us on our journey. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Getting to Know Yahowah's Beryth family. My name is Mark Miller. Please forgive the shadows on my face due to the angle of the sun. The light I have is not powerful enough to overcome the brightness of the sun. Just like nothing is capable of overcoming the brightness of Yahowah's sun Dode. I just wanted to take advantage of the beautiful scenery behind me when I had the chance. I'm currently staying at my boss's house to dog sit, but the show must go on. Today we have a special guest that most of you know. He was on before with his wife while she shared her story. Today, he will be sharing his. Please welcome Russell and Mariah to the show.
Hello. Thanks, Mark.
I should have played some applause. You're welcome. Thanks for being here.
So if you're going to be in the sun for a while, that pool behind there, are you jumping in later?
Yeah, I'm definitely jumping in. I've been in a couple times this morning already while I was reading out here. But until we're done with the show, I'll promise I won't jump in while we're doing the show.
Well, if you do, just, at least keep some shorts on,
All right. So, like always, I'll stop rambling and I'll hand it over to Russell to share how he came to know Yahowah.
I was expecting you to talk more because usually
you want me to?
No, no. It's like one of those things where do you start and what details to put in and leave out, what's too personal, what's not. So for me, there might be some things that I put in there maybe too personal, but it helps form who I am and why I waited so long to get where I'm at right now. So that's kind of one of the things. So I guess I go back to the beginning where everything was calm and quiet and nice. And then, I was like, what's that? And then a giant sperm. Oh, sorry, that's too far back.
We went too far.
Yeah, I went too far. Let's jump forward 9 months. So we know what happened there. We don't need that detail. Sorry, I didn't think I was going to do that.
No, it's funny. It's good.
That kind of doesn't define who I am, but yeah.
Everybody had that experience, right?
Yeah, so that happened. Yeah. So with that said, up until maybe 5 or 6 years old, some people can remember 3 years old. I don't have that memory. But I was born in Minnesota, Midwest, very different than where I'm at in California here. But growing up, I guess the whole reason we're having this video is to do with Christianity, starting out with that stuff. So we grew up in a Christian house. My mom, my dad, not so much. Not really sure how he felt about it. Never talked about it. It was just there. But my mom was very Christian-y. I had to go to Sunday school, had to go to church, do all the things. And the whole time I was doing it when I was younger, didn't really pay attention to it much until I got older, say 9, 10 years old, started realizing the people around me, the church itself was just so contradictory. You'd have your neck okay?
Never. It always.
I think I heard it pop. But
not this time, unfortunately.
Yeah. Sorry. So no, that's okay. Just so it's the being around people in the church and everything was just so contradictory, their behavior, because you'd see them at church, how they act, how they talk and walk, and then you'd leave and it was a total opposite story, especially my mom, with how she was. It's like, be a good Christian, don't lie, do all the things you're supposed to do, and then turn around and watch her completely contradict the whole thing, just off the rails. Wait a minute. And then I'd get smacked in the mouth. She was very abusive. I'm sure I'll cover that in a little while. But if I said anything about it, then, I was a problem. So watching her turn me off to Christianity and watching, your friends and family do one thing, come home. I know the stuff you do. I know the stuff you do to your kids. I know what's going on. So we'll leave it at that. But, so you have any questions, Mark?
I did, and then I forgot it, honestly. You
can interject as we go.
It was probably relative to just like you were saying, being hypocritical and like everybody goes to church, and I don't know that it was a question, it was just a comment. I agree with you. It's like everybody goes to church, and then all the things that supposedly they're not supposed to do, it just gets thrown out the window when they go home. They're out partying, they're out doing everything, and they might not be things that are offensive to Yahowah, but according to their religion, they're out drinking, partying, sleeping around, cussing, swearing, doing whatever. And so complete hypocrisy, like you said.
Sure. So, but then you have that all forgiving. You can
if you ask for forgiveness and you know Jesus, you're good.
Yeah, the Catholic Church, you can go to the guy sitting behind a curtain in a robe, stroking his crucifix, cradling his beads, whatever that. So you look at that kind of stuff. I know I'm bad.
I love the metaphor.
Yes, but some of them not metaphorical though, right? Unfortunately.
Yeah.
But so anyways, just as a teenager, the whole thing, just stepping away from it, and that caused some conflict with my mom. But once I got to a certain age, I was done with it. And then you talk to your friends, and when you're a teenager, you think you've got it all figured out and you know answers, and you're searching for stuff, right? So that was something for me. Just looking at it was, I was pretty much done with that, and then just shut it off. Because going back to the thing about my mom being abusive, she was what my brothers and sisters would say. She's crazy, you know that, right? Because I come from a family of 6 kids, 4 from a first marriage, my brother Mark from 1, and then obviously I'm last in line. So if I mention my dad being in World War II, you're like, how's that possible? I'm only 58. And because I was an accident, he was 43, my mom was 40. So, there's that huge age gap. So I was raised quite differently than other kids around me, because people would look, is that your grandparents? I'm like, no, that's my parents. So depression babies, the whole thing. So there's a different mindset. I was fortunate because of that. But
so was I. So was I.
Yeah. You're fortunate because I was raised that way.
Yeah, well, differently.
Well, from the Midwest too.
Different than people here.
For sure. So what I was getting at with my mom being abusive, just the whole thing, the reason I bring that up is I'm not, was a victim. It affected my whole life. Of course it did, but not the victim part of it. You just go through stuff. Everybody goes through things, right? We all do. You can carry it and, own it and wear it and let it dictate the rest of your life. I chose at a young age not to. And I think it's my personality too. Not everybody can do the same thing. For me, it was like, that's just how I grew up. That's the way things were. And what I mean by that, I'm going to give a couple examples, because this is the kind of thing that just really affected me and woke me up to hating Christianity more, because that for her, that was very important. But the things she did. So an example is my niece Rhonda. I think I was about 15, and I came home, and I may or may not have been taking a lot of fresh air that day. But I walked in the house and I heard my niece crying, and stuff. And I'm, oh boy, I wonder what she did. Sounds like she's getting a spanking, right, from my mom. Grandma's beating her ass again. And so I walk in the house and I go around the corner and I see her, and I was kind of like, what's going on? And my mom didn't see me. And she's sitting behind her, brushing this little 3-year-old girl's hair, pulling it, yanking it, and it's wet. Of course that hurts. And then the smacking sound I heard is her hitting her in the side of the head with a hairbrush, right? And you're like, wow, hitting a child in the head. You don't hit animals, dogs in the head. I mean, you don't do that. Hit the body, anything, right? A spanking, fine. But she was doing that. And I'm like, okay, wow, that's messed up. But then what really blew my mind is seeing her laughing. She was sitting there smiling. I'm like, you sick bitch. Sorry if you need to edit stuff out. But it was one of those things where the cameras, they just zoom in the movie. You're like, oh, that moment of realization. I was like, okay, my brothers and sisters were right, because they're all out of the house at this point. And I'm like, yeah, she's a little off, right? So anyway, she was very quick with the wedding ring to the face, right? And that culminated to, I can't remember the age, probably about around the same time, shortly after that. There was a thing where she used to just, hit me, slap me, whatever, all the time, right? And well, prior to that, let me jump back. When I was probably 5th grade, younger, that was the belt sessions, right? My dad would spank me for bad grades, right? On the butt a couple times. We'd have a talk first and afterwards. And it was always, well, your mom wants me to do this. And I'm like, okay. Looking back, that was kind of like, really? I mean, he handled it like you would if you're going to spank your child, with respect and explain why. I had a thorough understanding. That's how you learn. With her, one time came home, I guess because it was dark, one of my older brothers came and got me, and we had these rails in the kitchen. She's like, put your pants down, you know, my underwear. And then I grabbed the rail and she grabs a belt and she said, George, spank his ass. So he did, okay, well, you know, you're not supposed to come home late. He's trying to explain. So he gave me a couple whacks, and then she grabs the belt from him and starts spanking my ass. And I'm just like, oh boy, here it comes. And then I'm like, wasn't thinking this at the time, but as I got older, it's like, hey, mom, the back of my neck and the back of my calves is not my ass. I mean, this was kind of a rage type thing. You look back, you're like, man, as a child, I wasn't putting that together. And most of that stuff I just put behind me as well. You know, I'm not a perfect little kid. I'm effing up, you know, so you get your ass whooped. So anyways,
say on that, sorry to interrupt.
No,
you
please do.
You said it as well, kind of like it's a rage thing, right? And so one of the things, and I don't know if this was like Christian based from my parents and stuff like that. Mine was the same. While my parents were together a lot of the time, because dad's working, mom's home, dad comes home, mom tells him what she did, and dad had to dish out the punishment. I don't think my dad wanted to half the time. Did he spank me after that? With her not around when they separated? I'm not sure. I feel like he might have when we were super young, but I don't think so. It was more of always a mom thing. But their one thing when they did it, I can't remember my mom doing it or not, I'm not sure, but was wait, don't do it angry. And like you said, they would usually tell you why it was happening. So whether you agree with spanking or not, I kind of get that. At least it's a logical way to go about it. This is why you're getting it, and I'm not doing it angrily, which, like you said, in your case with her, it was anger. And obviously that's not processing your emotions properly. You're just reacting and letting it out. So that's obviously not good. One thing when you were talking, two things. One is when you talked about your mom with your niece laughing. I hate to say this because I don't want to put her in that category, but it made me think of October 7th when they were doing the evil things they were doing. They were laughing. That's just disgusting. Like, it doesn't matter who you're inflicting, what you're inflicting on them. To laugh or find joy in it is gross.
Yeah, that's the part that freaked me out. I mean, I always look back on that, and you're like, she's broken. So just for, not in her defense by any means, I mean, we make our choices. She had time, but sometimes people get so broken that there's no fixing them. And especially if they have God, you know, not God, Yahowah, but if they have Christian God, Jesus on their side, you know, it's like, oh no, I'm good, right? And they ignore the shit that they're doing.
I don't know if I've ever thought about that before. Like, when I was in Christianity, did I process less trying to better myself? I feel like I didn't, because there was these like standards that you had to uphold to that you couldn't. And so I'd always be like, oh, but I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe, people could use that as an excuse. The one thing I was going to say, though, too, that you mentioned that I thought was awesome, or as bad as what you went through, a bonus of what you went through is your hatred for Christianity to begin with. So you weren't starting with like all that extra, I've got to get rid of all this religion, because you previously had already a long time ago gotten rid of that, like, this stuff's crap. So starting with Yahowah, I think that's a benefit, because you don't have as much garbage to clean out as far as the religions go.
Yeah, that was a big help. I mean, mentioning that on the show to Craig about that, you know, I had it figured out earlier. I think, not to quote him exactly, but something like that. And well, that's just getting away from it. Walking away was not even a thought process. It was just something I felt I had to do. But also, you know, reading Twistianity now, I'm jumping ahead here a little bit, but reading that now, you know, Craig is 100% right. If you're going to dispute something or get rid of it, you have to know about it. You have to be able to have a proper argument about it. And I 100% agree. Read Twistianity, by the way. I'm 130 something pages into a snake right now. I don't think you get in a couple pages, and if you're a Christian and you don't have some questions about that, go look up what he's saying, then you're just blinded by the crap.
That's my problem. There's so many things I want to read, and I want to read Twistianity, and then other people are like, read Coming Home, and I'm like, yeah, but I want to read Twistianity because that's where I was brought up. That'll give me more stuff to, like, more confidence in me, that I have more evidence of Christianity being false, not only with other people, but because of my past stuff. So it's so hard. It's like, I want to read Intro to God. I want to read Twisted Angels. I want to read Goddamn Religion. I want to read, you know what I mean? And it's just, there's not enough time. There's too much to read. And so it's like, do I read 3 books at once, 4 books at once? You know, I don't know, but I really want to read Twistianity.
My answer to that is yes. Because coming home, Introductory to God, Beryth, because we're doing that in the book club, which we need to get on. And I'm doing Snake. And then also last night we were reading Written in Stone, the new portions of it. And all the shows, obviously. And I watched, I think, all of Puzzles. And then I got addicted to the shorts. And I don't know if I ran through all of them or not, but every time I get to a certain thing, I'm like, ooh, what's that about? So then I'd resort to the webpage and ask, or I'd look something up in the book. So maybe what I'm doing is unorganized and jumping all over the place, which is not uncommon for me with my music, but I'm learning in the process, and it's filling in. Yes, there you go. Piece by piece. You'll read something like, I'm not getting anywhere, I don't understand, and so on. But let me just finish back on the so we're not discombobulated here. The abusive mother syndrome that I'm over now. So yeah, she was. So with that said, now I kind of lost where we were at, just her being abusive. And I guess the last one would be, I think when I was about 15 or 16 is when
you were talking about in the kitchen when your dad came home and she took over whipping you.
Yeah, so that was an episode when I was a kid. Just to give you an example, and that was emotion-based. You know, my dad was very like, you know, obviously the thing he went through in World War II and just his life, it was, you know, he understood I'm a child, I'm a kid, and he would talk to me. My dad was the type of person, he'd get that look in his eye, or he would talk to me as a male, because you need a male and a mother, a female and a male, you know, as parents. And he was that. And so there was no threats verbally or anything. It was just, he would talk to me and how he would do it. It would calm me down, maybe out of a little fear that I don't know, but it would just be one of those things. I had respect for him. Right. And he did that. My mom, I lost all respect for her because she was just batshit crazy. So the last time is when I was older. This was throughout my childhood, this whole thing of just, you know, being abusive verbally, mentally, psychologist wise. She would play games with me. Like, I remember one time, I'll tell this story real quick. We're at the stockyards. What that is, where they take cattle to be herded in, butchered, and so on. And next to it was a lumber yard. This is in Minnesota. And so in this day and age, you could have a kid that's, I don't even think I was in school yet. You could stay in the car. I could walk around the parking lot. It was safe somewhat. And so I go over, look at this big truck. This is a weird story. And I'm amazed by this at the train yard. And I'm looking up, watching this truck back up, and stuff's coming out of the back on a conveyor. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, what is that? And I couldn't figure out what it was, you know? And basically what it was is the remains of cows being butchered, their bones. It was all bloody and stuff. And I was kind of, well, you know, I think I'm going to go back to the car. So I'm sitting there tripping on this because I saw the skulls of the cows and stuff. And it was kind of, hadn't seen that yet, right? And didn't freak me out, but it was kind of a little bit. So I'm in the car, and the reason that stuck is because that was already in my head. And these are some of these moments you realize things and remember. And we got in the car, we're talking about something, and pow, I'm in the backseat, I get smacked in the face. I'm just like, what did I do this time? You know, you get hit, you kind of lose track of what was going on. And I learned the word contradictory. You know, don't contradict your father. I'm like, I'm not even in school with I don't even know that word. And she just made this big thing of it. I'm like, wow, you're impressive. You know a word that a kid who's not even in school doesn't know. So those are the kind of stupid little weird twisted mental games that as I got older, I remembered some of these and realized what she was doing. She felt tormented because her first marriage was 4 kids, all the bad things that you can do to children. You use your imagination. I don't know to go into detail, but the oldest one ended up in a mental ward for a while. And then later in life went to jail for obviously what happened to him, right? So we could fill in the blanks. So, you know, seeing those kind of things, you know, looking back on it, it's like, yeah, she was broken and tormented. And then jumping back now to when I'm 16, around that, I'm standing at the stove, and I may or may not have had some fresh air at the time because that was the thing when I was that age. And she's saying something, she starts smacking me in the face, right? I mean, just going ape shit. And I'm cooking something on the stove, and I've been in fights with kids, you know, 16-year-old boys can hit real hard, and so could I. So your mom doing that is like, whatever. So I wasn't responding to it, right? There's no tears, just ignoring her. And so she went batshit crazy on me. And then the fist came and started, she bloodied up my face a little bit. And I'm just like, I'm done with this, just that's it. So my dad asked me, I think it was the next day, so I got another fight again, because I was always fighting, so it wasn't nothing new. He'd ask about how to go. Did you get your ass kicked? Whatever. Like, no, I won this one. Last time I got beat up. And I didn't even want to say anything. And I wasn't hiding the abuse or something. I figured he's aware of this, right? I mean, he sees it, the spankings, and just how she is. So long story short, about a couple of weeks later, she moved to Yakima Valley. We were in Washington State. I'm sorry, by the way. And we'd moved from Minnesota.
You told him it was your mom, right?
Yeah.
You told him it was your mom that did that?
Yeah. Yeah, I did. I'm sorry, I didn't clarify that. So, and then she moved to, because she was like hysterical and just freaking out at that point, prior to that and then after. Obviously, because I was a bad kid, I'm drinking, doing drugs, whatever was in her mind about stuff. But she went
was
to
freaking out because of guilt about hitting you, or because of just
no,
behavior?
just her own stuff.
No, okay. She's drama.
I just assumed because
take out her misery on her son.
So yeah, so you were in Minnesota when you started.
Yes, and then I moved when I was 11. Yeah, sorry, moved when I was 11 years old to Washington. Okay. Teenage years in Washington. 19 years old, I moved to California. Sorry, okay. I didn't write this all out. I should have. So, anyways, that happened, and she moved to Yakima Valley with one of my sisters and my brother-in-law. She's dead. I can say her name, Shelly and Richard. So she moved down there, and I was like, and I remember at the time, and looking back, I have no recollection of giving a shit or where's mom. Maybe asked my dad, when is she coming back, and he's like,
oh, she left you guys.
She's down there. Well, my dad sent her leave because he's just like, he was seeing what it was doing to me. He loved her, but what do you do in those relationships? You just you're caught in it. I'm not condoning his behavior. He should have said, hey, bitch, calm down, right? But he
told her to leave basically because of how she was acting at the time.
I have no idea the conversations. There's nothing there. The only thing I know about it, she was gone, and I kind of just was like not even paying attention to the fact of that. I mean, my mom's not there, but she's not really a mom at that point. She was more of somebody I really didn't like, which sounds bad to some people, but I think I've explained why. So there's all the emotions and bitter and anger and all that stuff like that, and I go, well, she's a good Christian though, so there's my version to Christianity and wanting to walk away from it, right?
Yeah.
So there was one other thing about another niece, Wendy, my sister Linda's child. I know this sounds weird. I'm going to clarify. I don't. When I say this, it's not voices. I heard voices, that kind of shit. Because when people talk like that, I'm like, all right, okay, yeah. So my mom was a very large woman, 350 pounds. She could hit hard, by the way. I mean, I got in fights and stuff, and so like, yeah, she could lay one on. And so was my sister. All the women in the family were morbidly obese, and I don't mean to say that being mean. They just genetics, whatever it was, trauma, whatever caused them to get that way. But my niece Wendy, she was probably 3 or 4 years old, and I was staying with my sister at the time. I was 19 right before I moved to California, and I was watching her play. She's a little blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl, and just cute. And she's sitting there playing at a tea party, and I was like, "Oh, look at her!" I wonder what's going on in her mind. And then she does this thing, but I don't know if I can react it good. Just sitting there playing, and all of a sudden, like this, and she blinks her eyes, and like she's pulling away, like something's happening. And I was like, what was that, right? And then she did it again, and I lost my shit at that moment, and I'll explain why. I mean, it's a good thing my sister wasn't home, because my dad taught me you don't lay your hands on a woman. You could shake the shit out of one. I'm just kidding. But she was sitting there flinching, and I'm like, oh my God, because during my childhood, as I was growing up, I used to do the same thing. And my sister Linda would sit there. I'm not going to do it on camera, but imagine me just screaming super loud at the top of my voice, and to get your kids' attention, because you won't get off your fat ass and go over and take care of things like you should, right? Or talking calmly to them. So she used to scream at her, and it would scare the shit out of her. I mean, I'd be in the house and go like, whoa, So I remember that feeling when I was younger, and I used to do that. And even as a teenager, I'd have those moments where I'm hearing, you know, in the movies, they jumble noise. It's not a real voice, but you hear something or something makes you flinch. And I used to be sitting there and I'd do that. And I'm like, and that's why it was good that my sister wasn't home, because my mom was the product, you know, my sister was a product of my mom, the same kind of upbringing. And it just passed on down to her raising Wendy. And I went off on her. Let's just say I'll save the language and the physical, all up, everything, not including wanting to punch her in the face. I made it very clear that if I heard her voice, bad stuff was going to happen, right? So, and that was only there for a short more time after that, and that left. But it was just one of those things, all those little childhood traumas. I know people watch this and they've had much worse stuff happen to them, but like I said earlier, I'm not them, they're not me. Everybody internalizes things differently and handles things differently. So for me, getting to see that, I guess the whole nutshell is that was a good thing about getting away from Christianity that soon, because to me, that's what it represented, that. And my sisters at times played the game of going to church and everything else. And it was ulterior motives. You go to a church, there's money there. You can ask for this, ask for help. You can play games. And they were very good at manipulating and lying. Yeah. Right. And they knew that church is easy pickings, because I won't go into their whole life story, but they weren't very good people. Right. They weren't role models, let's say, for me.
Yeah. So. And unfortunately, I mean, we pass on to our children most of the time our insecurities or things we went through. You know what I mean? We see something and then we repeat it. Some people break the cycle. Some people don't. Most people don't. Makes me think somewhat of the Torah, where, and I know it may not be 100% that, but this is kind of what I used to think about it, where he talks about, you know,
the third and fourth
generation, where Yahowah's talking about, he's talking more about, you know, religion and stuff, but it just makes me think of that. Also too, unfortunately, I've been that person even with my daughter and feel horrible and guilty, where I've like yelled with anger about things. And it's like, my friend will tell me, he's like, you know, I don't really get upset. They're just kids, kind of like you said about your dad. And I don't disagree. That's 100% the way you should look at it. But because of my own personal struggles in those moments and emotions and things, I've done it more than I would like. Now, that said, it's not probably like this situation where it's a constant, because it's not, but I have done it. And just, looking at my daughter's face and just the way, you know what I mean? Like, you just instantly feel like a piece of shit. Exactly. Because they don't know. It's just anger come in. They have no clue. And they just think you're mad at them and you're whatever. And it's just like, so yeah, so I can kind of relate to where you're at and seeing what you're talking about. And, you know, like you said, everybody's struggles, what they've went through, they affect us all different. And whatever baggage and damage they caused is still real baggage and damage to the person experiencing it. So it's
what you can do with your daughter is when that happens, what do you do from when you have all those emotions about feeling like you made a mistake, you were wrong, it shouldn't have happened, it could have been handled differently? Well, what is in the Torah? It's like to make mistakes, we're not supposed to be perfect. We learn from it. And, you know,
I don't know what I do every
learn
time.
From it, then that's the mistake, is not learning from it.
In the hotel a long time ago, I was doing, you know, everything was going great. And then one time everything was going wrong, and I opened a soda and it explodes. And I just yelled like the F word really loud. And then, you know, obviously after I calmed down, I talked to her and I was like, look, you know, I'm so sorry, you know, nothing to do with you. I was upset. And she's like, yeah, you know, you scared me or whatever. And, you know, and I apologized to her and I told her, and I'm like, so sorry. That's not what I want you to feel, you know, but it doesn't change that I did it. It's just, you know,
well, you made the mistake. I
tried to explain it to her.
Yeah, but you made the mistake, but what you did afterwards, what you just said, is the most important part. You learned that you don't want to do that again, but you explained to her the mistake you made, so she can learn that if she makes mistakes too, you don't internalize it like I'm just a piece of shit. You know, you shouldn't do that either, obviously. But we're going to make mistakes, and that's how we learn and grow, right? But you explained it to her. That's what's important. My mom never explained any of the stuff. She was always, you know, right about the stuff. So I'll finish the story about her, because it seems like she's, you know, I have mommy issues. Apparently, I'm just kidding. I do not.
Yeah, I want to get into your journey as you start progressing from here, where your life took you, and then obviously,
So when I moved to
Mariah.
California when I was 19 years old, that was a big step because I chose the wrong path. Obviously, anybody watching the video, my lexicon isn't that great. I'm not well read. I dropped out of school in 10th grade. Well, Christmas vacation, I'm still on it. Oops. But I guess the reason I did is there wasn't enough teachers that I had that gave a shit. And they're just there for a paycheck. And being one of those, I guess, intellectual, bright kids when you're younger, you overthink things and think you know it all. And you get pissed at this situation. And you're like, you're just here for a freaking paycheck. You do not care. We would be the kid, some of a group of friends would be troublemakers. We'd go in. The math teacher would have our detention slips already on the desk. He'd look at him and go, what do you choose? And I would choose to pick up my paper and leave because I'm a smart ass know-it-all, right? I'm like, wow, that's what his choice is. He's not there to babysit me. That's not his job. If you're going to act out, get out. I agree with him 100% as an adult. But he didn't take any interest or any time to be smarter than me because he had more information, more life experience. Deal with the kid. You're just, there's obviously trouble at home or whatever's going on. So I did have a few teachers. Yes.
Do you think you're acting out and all the stuff you were doing, during that time? Because I did the exact same thing, was like a cry out for attention, for like love, acceptance, belongingness. That was for me. I didn't see it at the time, but I act out for attention to like feel accepted and things like that.
So yeah, believe it or not, when you talk to me, I'm an introvert with extrovert skills because I'm not going to say the F word, but I effing hate people in general. I mean, obviously we know why. But it's one of those things, to answer that, of course, I would assume it was. Have I ever thought about that's the reason why I did the stuff I did? Sure. You look at it and I used to think, well, getting beatings and whatever when you're younger, well, I was, messing up. I was doing shit. I was staying out. I was doing stuff I wasn't supposed to. So you're like, okay, well, that's the consequences, the action reaction for, my behavior. So you just take it as that. But yeah, it's a good possibility. And some of it's for sure. But I had some teachers, and her name is Miss Blaisdell. I remember her, and Mr. Radisson, who was a science teacher. She was an English teacher. And she had a huge effect on me. There's people in your life that when you look back in a situation, doesn't make that the whole thing bad, because she was the thing that was like, wow. So just a real quick example, talking to her, I think I took her a couple years, probably 9th and 10th grade. She was the kind of teacher where she knew how to communicate with us. We had long hair, we smoked weed, or fresh air, I should say, and played music and everything like that. And we just kind of acted out because we're cool, but we were the cool kids, where the jocks, the punk rockers, the preppies and all that. We were cool with everybody because of that common denominator, fresh air. And we knew where to get it. Anyways, so she knew how to communicate with us. And what that meant was our behavior, she'd sit down at the desk, turn it around and sit backwards in the chair and get right in her face. And she'd look around, nobody's there after class, and say, all right, you little fuckers, you're going to come in. You're going to come into my class and act this way. And she would talk. We're like, oh. And we just thought that was the coolest thing. I mean, obviously she knew what she was doing, but we're like, okay, she's going to play your game, you dumb shits. So she did. And so I learned a lot from her, and we used to play this game. And this directly kind of leads into like reading the books and understanding stuff, right? We used to play a game called Get the Teacher. And what that was, everybody got a dictionary. So what we do is we look up a word, and she goes, well, it can't be another language and blah, blah, blah. I had stipulations on it. But she'd always almost know those words too, right? So we'd find words, and everybody in the class, how do you get 15, 20 kids to sit and read a dictionary? How the hell do you do that, right? You don't. So we're sitting there reading, trying to find what's that word means. So, well, I got one over here. I never heard of that before. I'm like, she's a genius, right? So we finally, felt like we got her. And I swear that she knew the word, and once in a while, because it was a free Friday, we could bring our guitar amps in, we could talk. Everybody could just study for another class, whatever you wanted to do. Cool. And so I'm like, when I got older, I didn't realize it at the time. I'm like, man, we got played. She is that's the kind of teachers you need. She cared, and she got us. How did she do that, right? So anyways.
They put effort in to be creative. They actually care. They're creative to try to figure out how to engage students.
Yeah, well, you got to imagine
those are the ones that really make a difference in people's lives.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
that was a life lesson that I carried now, is like, it's not to trick somebody, but it's to make it interesting for people, because everybody's different. It's like listening to Craig on the shows, how he reads the influx, like we were talking about the music last night, the crescendos and the composition. He does that when he's reading, and then when there's emotion in it, and how he reads it slowly. There's a lot of repetition. That's how I learn. I mean, most people, I'm sure, but when he does that, that's how it's the process of learning. But the dictionary thing, I was like, wow. So when you see that, that's a good teacher.
That concerto last night, or concerto.
Concerto.
Say it properly. I love that one, man. The message in that one is so awesome.
That's intense,
so good.
I might play that like on repeat here a little bit later.
That's my favorite one so far.
Yeah, I had other ones. Shepherdess of Days used to be my favorite for a long time.
I like that one.
And then all the new ones with Ruth and all, they're all really good. But I the first time I heard it, when they played it on the vlog on the blog, I think it was yesterday, I was like, it was good, but I'm like, eh. But after listening to it a couple times, just the words and the lyrics in there, it's like it's pretty phenomenal.
There we go.
I do. And on that note, Shabbat Shalom to everybody. You might not see this on the Shabbat, but today is the Shabbat. So I do have another. Yeah, I do have another question. I have another question for you though on the schooling thing, because you mentioned previously, not on this show but other times, about like being dyslexic. And so did that play a factor as well in the education and acting out, because certain things were more difficult and maybe they didn't like really engage you to try to help? Because my dad was dyslexic and they just kept passing him. And so he didn't, when it comes to writing and reading, he's really not that good.
Yeah. It absolutely did, because I remember in school, there came a time where I was doing really well. And there was the little, I don't know if dyslexia, you're born with it or it comes from just, things going on in your life where you have ADD. Everybody's got labels for everything now, right? Nobody talked about dyslexia. I don't know when the word was created even, but it's one of those things. I do remember a time, because we moved around a lot. By the time I was 19, moving to California, I think I had moved almost as many times into 3 different states and different cities and everything. And that's a whole nother show. We could talk about how that affects people. But I lost my train of thought. Oh, the dyslexia. Yeah. So the age thing, that's a whole new thing too, of memory. But dyslexia, I remember a time where I would do all the little math quiz test things where you'd sit there in a whole page. You remember doing those? Where you'd have like 20 multiplication problems. And I was usually second or third. No, I was just flying on them and all these different things,
give you
right?
With all the different problems.
And I would just do, it was always sense of pride, like, more than the top 3 all the time. There's always somebody faster than you, it seems, right? Or better. And so I was doing that, and then I was doing good. And I remember having to read, and I'd moved around a little bit. So I wasn't exactly, I remember being a shy child, because I would talk to kids. I'd make friends right away. You learn how to. But I would make mistakes, and kids they laugh at you and they're brutal and all that kind of stuff. It's not like a wuss now talking about this kind of stuff, but when you're younger, you're unprotected. You don't have that adult mind and reasoning, right? So I would, like the teacher, you get to that point, and it's the classic things you hear about it. I would, cause a scene or act up or make jokes about it that I don't want to read out loud, because I would read and I'd make mistakes. The words, I would look at them, like last night we were reading and I kept saying a word wrong. And I'm like, those letters. And I looked away, went back to it a couple of times and kept saying it wrong. So it's just a real thing. It's not constant, but it's very frustrating. So as long as I keep calm. But yeah, I definitely acted out about those kinds of things, and it for sure caused a problem. You don't want to participate because of that. So then I remember going through grade school. I tested well in 6th grade was kind of when things went downhill for me. I tested really well and got all these books because they place you based on the test. Well, I did really well. And then when I started doing the books, I'm like, oh man, these are pretty tough, and didn't have enough thought going into it, going, well, maybe I should do a lower book or something. So started acting out on that. Real nice teacher too. He realized that my homework wasn't getting done, obviously, and why. I'd forget books at home. He called my mom. My mom's all, make him walk home. I'm like, I take a bus to school, but I knew how to get from school to there. And it's wintertime in Minnesota. That's my mom. So I had to go home, go get it. And so my teacher, instead of being a jerk about it, he's like, well, if you want to pass, you can stay after. And I do the wood shop class. And let me move these pencils. I keep playing with them. Sorry. And he used to do the wood shop after school with the 7th and 8th graders or whatever. I think I'm in 5th grade at the time. And so I'm in there watching them in the wood shop, and I'm doing my homework, and I'm like, I know how to do that stuff. My dad taught me a lot of stuff when I was younger. And I know how to do that. He's like, oh, really? And so we started talking, and he's like, well, you get your homework done, you can come in here and do that. And that's 7th grade stuff. I'm in 5th. I'm like, yeah, I know how to do that. And so I did. And he did a couple projects with me. So there's teachers, there's people out there who care, but most of the schools and teachers were just like paycheck and whatever. And I saw that and had a lot of resentment towards that. So I'm not blaming them for my actions and my choices. But when you see that, I don't blame a lot of kids that don't want to be part of that. And I can't imagine what it's like now in school with computers, your phones, just
Common Core.
Yeah, the Common Core. Yeah, the detachment that they have from each other. So
school, you were 19. Is that when you were living at your sister's house?
For a short period of time before I moved to California. Yeah, so I decided.
Go ahead.
Oh, I decided to do this. How many people signed me up for this one? Moved to California, $51 in my pocket, my Marshall amp, my guitar, half dirty, clean laundry in a suitcase. Moved to an apartment with some of my friends who had moved down here. So there's 5 guys in a 1-bedroom apartment. So on my resume, I dropped out of school at 10th grade. What work experience do you have, right? So it was kind of, that was a real smart move. Throw yourself into the fire here. So, but I was somebody who was motivated from time I was in kindergarten. I'd shovel snow, I'd rake leaves, mow grass, had a paper route. Then as soon as I was old enough, I forgot about that. I shined shoes when I was in kindergarten on Dale Street. You could go into bars then, believe it or not, 1973. And of course, this is going to be too long of a show, so I'll go in real quick. Lived in a bad neighborhood, older kids stealing shit, stole all my shoe polish to get my kit so I could make money legitimately. And my dad made a kit for me. He's like, wow, he's going to go do it. So I actually bought my first bicycle, $110 bike in 1973. I mean, you could pick up a used car for a couple $100, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of ridiculous. Yeah. My dad said,
what are you going to do? Nice bike then.
Yeah, and save it, right? Well, it was one of those BMX with the.
I remember that. I got a GT Vertigo. I got the BMX freestyle bike when I was a kid in middle school is one I wanted. And I did my chores and stuff and I paid payments on it. And then when I went off to some camp, it was probably some Christian camp or something.
Probably.
I came home and it was sitting in my room waiting for me. I guess my parents paid off the last little bit that was left.
Yeah. Those are fun memories, right? Yeah. So back to the work ethic thing. So I did that when I was a kid. Just to explain the neighborhood too, of kind of a rougher childhood. You didn't go too many blocks from your house because there was other, let's say, cultures there, meaning races there. Very racial in the 70s in Minnesota, black and white, period. It literally was that. And so if they came in your neighborhood, beat them up, take their bikes, same thing. And so we'd go to the VFW for the veterans. Mm-hmm. We go shine shoes there and they're seeing a little kid. They're like, wow, look at this little kid. They think it's neat and everything's working. I would get a $5 or a $10 tip, even a $20 tip one time. Minimum wage was $1.75 then. Okay. You're like, holy shit. So we knew what the game was. My friends, we'd go in there and do that. And we knew we'd look out in the parking lot and shit. Yep. They're out there. So we'd call my brother and he had a car. He'd show up and pick us up because there was other kids beat your ass and take your money. They wouldn't take your shoe shine kit, throw it everywhere, but they let you keep that so you can make more money for them to steal. So grew up in that kind of environment, right? A lot of fighting going on. So as of what I was getting at as far as motivation working wise, no experience down here, ended up getting crap job, $4.25 an hour, physical labor stuff. I go, well, that's what you get with a 10th grade education. So did that, worked my way up and through management. And I had people that were great mentors for me. They realized I had potential and they're like, well, what else can you do? So they moved me up into like a lead position, supervisory position, and management position throughout the years. And that was a very short period of time. And that happened again in another company. So I was very fortunate they saw that. But school didn't get me there. It was just doing it myself, learning and go, okay, it's management. So I had to go to classes. I read books. I did whatever I could to further that. But so back to the abusive mommy. and I'll close that portion of my life. I was 25 and I went back to visit her, and she, her health is failing and stuff. We just got enlarged.
We lost you.
Mark?
Mark?
There?
Are you still there? No, there's only one person.
Mm-mm.
He dropped out.
Okay.
We'll just wait.
Is it something you said?
It's still recording.
Is it something I said? Okay. Well, I guess we're still recording. We lost Mark. So this is weird because I was talking to him. So I'm gonna put my hand here. This is Mark now.
So we have we can do I'll draw him.
Draw a face. There you go. Put the blue shirt on it. Put Yahowah on there
I don't have any colored pencils.
Well, that's okay. Just draw it there and pretend. So back to what I was saying. So when I was 25, I went back to visit my mom, and kind of to clear things up, because during that time, I think I talked to her a couple of times on the phone, and there was no changing anything about how she was, and I wasn't looking to. But when I was 25, I went back to visit, and I, kind of apologized to her about my behavior. There's Mark. Hi, Mark. Here we go. Okay. Mark, you've changed. So when I went back to visit her, it was one of those things where I kind of wanted to apologize, because I'm an adult at this point. I've been through a lot of stuff on my own and felt that I had grown up quite a bit and learned. So I said to her, sorry for when I was younger, the behavior, because I was drinking and smoking weed and doing stuff at a very young age, bringing girls to the house at a very young age and everything. So I figured, I would apologize for the things I know that were wrong that I did. And, I was expecting something that I wasn't sure that I'd get. But what I got, not an apology or anything about what she did or how she acted. It was completely justified. Are we still recording, Mark?
Yeah, we are.
He's there.
Yes, real quick, just because everybody, apologies. The past few minutes or so, did you see me on the screen, or was I gone?
No, you were gone.
But you were talking the whole.
Yeah, she drew a picture of you, because I was like, I can't talk to nobody.
So
this was your feeling, Mark.
Oh, nice. That's pretty good, actually. Except for my head's a little bit rounder.
Strong chin like you have. Yeah, I like it.
It needs
but just for everybody, real quick, just so they know, if they didn't see me, it says it's still recording. So hopefully it was still recording on your end. I didn't think through the heat of outside. My computer got super hot because it started getting out of the shadows and it just baked it. So that's my fault. So everybody that's watching, hopefully if it recorded all your stuff, Russell, we're still good to go. I just didn't get to hear it all myself, but I'll rewatch it later.
There you go.
I can kind of do it in a nutshell again. When I was 25, I went back, visited my mom in Minnesota. And during that time, I hadn't spoke to her much. And so I went back and I was kind of wanting to apologize for my behavior. Like in a nutshell, like I said, drinking, bringing girls home. I was young, so it's okay. And smoking weed and all that kind of stuff and just acting out. So I wanted to kind of, apologize to her, maybe reconcile, whatever, closure, the whole bullshit stuff, right? I don't really believe in a lot of that, but I felt like I needed to do that. So I went back, talked to her as an adult. I'd had a lot of experience. I've learned a lot and apologized for all that. And then from her, I don't know really what the expectations were of her apologizing or whatever, but it was, you effed up, you were this and that. It was all my fault. And she didn't do anything wrong. And I'm like, kind of nothing, there's nothing there. And then there's no changing that. So from that moment when I left, it was kind of like that moment when she was abusing Rondo with the hairbrush thing. It's like, yeah, she is crazy. Okay. It's not just me. It's not me. You internalize shit as a kid. Sometimes you blame it on yourself, right? It's like, I'm doing it wrong. So at that point I was like, and it really was one of those things where a few times in my life since that I've had moments where I realized, how she treated me affected me. And I, when you're acting a certain way, I don't act out emotionally on people. I usually calm down, except for, when you get a fight, somebody's coming at you, you got to do what you got to do. But most of the time, I'll get really mad inside and I'll just do a neck cracking thing and just calm it down. Because when I was younger, I used to fight a lot, and that was like the go-to, right? They didn't arrest kids in school. You'd get into a fight and you go to the principal's office and stare at each other for 4 hours until you shook hands, right? Now they throw your ass in jail and it's bad. zero
So
tolerance
retarded.
stuff, participation trophy babies. So anyways, back to that thing. I had closure on that. And so now we jump ahead, 3 years? And then this happened.
I'm so sorry. No, I'm just kidding.
I
love you, Mariah, and I know how you guys feel about each other.
Hey,
you guys
Mark,
love each other to death, and you're the best things in each other's lives. So, but I had to do it.
I am way more sorry than you are. Trust me, that it didn't happen sooner. Okay,
exactly.
But if it
No,
did,
the timing was good.
It was good because of where we were at in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
So you're about 28 when you guys met.
Yeah, and she was 25, roughly around that.
So you've been together almost 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
That is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yep, me too.
It's been 30 years. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, the relationship's been awesome. You're just old.
Yeah, we've had our ups and downs.
Yeah,
we've had our moments. We had the moments where it wasn't gonna last, but that's a whole nother episode. I think there should be relationships with Yahowah, and
when I start that show, I'll let you guys know.
There you go.
First couple on.
Sign us up, because I think there's some things that people can learn from what we did. We didn't go to therapy. We didn't do anything. We just sat and really broke it down to the basics.
Only person you can change is yourself.
That's exactly. It starts with that.
True.
So the whole fingers pointing back, right? There's the 3. So to how I got to where I'm at now, how I got to meet Yahowah, it was.
So we met and fell in love.
We don't say that it was 2012 when you first heard Craig, right?
It was, yes. I was
something like that.
Freaking out about the fact.
How long have you been together when you heard about that, or when you got introduced to Craig?
Oh, 11 years, 10 or 11 years.
So we got married in 2001.
Yeah.
And we were already together for about 4.5.
Yeah, so we were together for a while.
That.
So you've been together for a while. Your lives are not religious, political, any of that stuff, or was there politics involved?
I still had a little bit of the Christian-y shit because I was looking for God, and I knew that the God in the Torah was real, and but I kept having this filter through the Christian New Testament, and I was looking through it, and I was like, it doesn't make any sense. And I hated Paul. He talked in circles, drove me crazy. There was nothing to sink my teeth into. Anyway, I've talked about all of this before, but
yeah.
Eventually I heard Craig, and I just went full bore. Like, there was that moment where the decision is made, you get the goosebumps, and you're like, this is it. Wow, finally, and then it just kept going from there. And I was doing it and responding, and there was no more Christmas, and there was no more.
All right, so now, so around then you started listening to Craig's stuff, and then obviously back to Russell. She's learning all this stuff. She's going on her path on that, I'm sure, sharing and things like that. Your thoughts, feelings, or whatever, like your journey from that point.
Yeah, the sharing was limited to mentioning it, and I'm asking certain things, and so people that actually know me, some people think I'm an asshole because I'm very direct and speak candidly, and I don't put up with people's shit and lying because my mom was a perpetual liar. I don't have to be right all the time and win an argument. That's not what it is. Some people think that. What it is just don't fucking lie. And if I don't know the truth, I want to find out. So if it smells like a lie, whatever, I need to know, or I disengage if I don't know for sure, or if I am not positive. It's not like I have an ego. I need to win. I need to be right. It's none of that. It's just like, let's both find out the truth. Let's be factual in this. So many people just have to, at any cost, be right. Even if they go back on their word and twist it around to like, oh yeah. And at the end, now you're agreeing with the person. Well, it's not you said before. No.
They have to that kind of bullshit, right, regardless of whether they are or not.
For me, the whole thing, when she was sharing some of it, I'm just like, okay. And you've heard in her story, just to recap on it, her dad was kind of changed his name, as in a cult, and very religious and pretty abusive. So for me, I'm just like hearing this stuff going, okay, whatever, different, whatever. Now you're Jewish now or something, and blah, blah, blah. And just, sarcastic shit remarks that you don't say to your best friend and somebody you dearly love. Right. And so that's the asshole part where you go, yeah, that's an
I was in a
asshole.
cult.
Yeah. So I was hearing this stuff throughout the years, and it just, there'd be snide remarks and just different stuff. So she would do, Shabbat and just different things, and I would participate in it, but I wasn't participating with knowing and being a part of it.
You didn't participate. You just kind of went along with it.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Like, okay, we're
around.
going to cook lamb. We're going to do this and
So
everything.
he would grill,
matzah.
but he didn't care.
Yeah, I wasn't participating in the real sense. I was just there.
He's like, oh, this is tasty.
Yeah, and I do it because it made her happy, and I cared about what she was doing. But I had just shut off because to me, it still sounded and walked and talked like religion, but I really wasn't listening to what was being said. So I had no facts. There was no basis for it. It was just like, F this, no, hard line, kind of stupid, obviously. So I can say that about myself if I want to. It was very ignorant. Ignorance is what?
It's
disastrous.
a lack of an open mind.
I think I read that recently.
He did not have an open mind.
No, not to this.
Hosha. Is that where it says for something where they say my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge, something along those lines?
My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Yeah, and then there's also the Psalm 19:7 with
the Torah's complete.
And perfect for returning and restoring the soul for those that are open-minded.
Yes.
Yeah. And then I read something in volume 2 today when I was doing some reading this morning. It's in Shemoth. It's 12, I believe. I just can't remember if it's like 48 or 50 or whatever, but it was talking about the I hate saying verse, but this part where it says there's one Torah for the Gentile or the Goy and for, the Israelites, the children of Israel or whatever. So, which gets rid of the whole New Testament thing. Yep. So,
and the Mishnah.
Yeah. Gets rid of all of it, obviously, because the oral law, all that.
All of those.
Yeah, the Quran.
Hey,
all right, I sidetracked you.
That's okay.
So you're not a saw engaging. You're just kind of there.
No, he's just there.
I'm just there, yeah, and listening to it.
He's being relatively nice to me.
And then relatively nice. There was time. Well, just the sarcastic thing,
Yeah, he would make snide remarks.
The frustration,
And I was just like, ugh.
Yeah.
So frustrated. Well, you just listen to what he's saying.
All right. Russell,
am I being treated out again? I'm just kidding. No, she was very, very sly about the thing, and just kind of, there was an episode with the 9/11 thing. That's something I don't know if you talked about on your thing.
Wormhole.
And when that happened and all this conspiracy shit and everything else, right? So, but this was around, it was around that time. It was around the time that you started. It was around 2010. It wasn't, because it was later on when everything was being posted and we went down the wormhole of, Inside Job and just all that crap. So, and then she had that whole thing and she went down that wormhole of like, and we washed our hands of that, of like, man, that's just the toxic, you don't know. So my saying is, yeah. So my saying about stuff is what I know. What I don't know, I'm sorry. What I don't know is what I know. I'm just like, what does that mean? It's circular, right? Well, there's a bunch of stuff I don't know, and I do know that. So we just rested on, because the whole thing about conspiracy is what? Do you know? Were you there? Did you? And then it's just misleading. It's to do that. It's to.
And to what end?
Yeah, exactly.
What good is it going to do?
So, how I ended up where I'm at, I got to keep on track here. We're at almost an hour.
Yeah.
People don't want to listen to everybody babble.
Trying to let you do your thing.
Yeah, exactly. So
jump in and be like, all right.
No, that's fine. So that happened, and then throughout the years, and it was, just kind of off and on. And
he
there was times
I would quit. Like he thought it was a phase.
Oh, I did at one point, and then after years going by, I was just like, okay, she's just doing her thing. And then the books on the wall, and there was the questions like, how much did that cost? Not our money's separate. We're not worried about the money. It was like, how much did that cost? And then eventually years later, it's like, how much you send into this shit? But I mean, sorry, Craig, everybody else listening is offensive, but that's how I was. I was just, to me, the Christianity thing, that was a horrible thing, right? To me. And that's what kind of put that yeast on me, and just the whole thing to walk away from it. I wasn't part of it, but look what it does. Whether you're part of it or not, it gets out there, it gets in you.
Shemesh.
Right? For the wrong reasons, right? So then, and getting closer to now, there was times in the last few years. Well, let's go right to the political thing of not being political. Neither one of us are. I knew just enough about politics or who was in office at the time or whatever, so I could be me. And if you know me, at work at the office, I would know just enough about politics so I could antagonize people because I thought it was funny because these fudgers thought they knew everything. I'm just like, really? So I would sit there, and no matter what side they're on, who they voted for, it didn't matter. I was devil's advocate. I'd be on the other side talking shit. And it was just funny because everybody would get so emotional about it, you know, and
we have
religion,
so many similarities about certain things because I did the same thing. I'll argue the other side just to argue
just to do it, because it's like, and then you listen to them and their stuff falls apart, and then they get mad because they don't really know. And they're like, what about this? And then it just solidifies like, man, this is fun. Actually, I'm sadistic. Sorry. But so anyways, as far as
let's get to the meat and potatoes. I want to hear about when you actually met Yahowah.
Well, this is the meat and potatoes part. I'm trying to get there.
He's getting there.
So it's a long process. So getting there was the reason I said about the politics things, because when the dumpster was going to be reelected, I'm just like, the first time I was just dumbfounded. I'm kind of like, really? This is where we're at? He's the president now? Really? This is, yeah. So in the last election, I never watched any of the address from the president, all that kind of stuff, any of it. I didn't give a shit. It's just bullshit. And so this last time I jumped off the cliff right into the pool, man. I was watching every single video about cackles, as Craig calls her. I mean, she's freaking retarded, but Trump's the alternative. What are your choices? Here we go again, people. It's the turd or the douchebag. What do you choose?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I literally just was freaking out. Something inside me was like, this ticking time bomb's going off, and I'm just losing my shit. I'm like, what do I do? I'm like, oh, I know what I'll do. And I got on my phone and I started going down the thing to register to vote. I never registered to vote. I had no thoughts about thinking that mattered. My dad taught me that when I was younger. He says politics is just complete bullshit. One gets in the office, they lie. So he was not political, right? So I kind of picked that up from him, and I'm just like, yeah. And then when you see it as an adult, you're like, yeah, exactly. So how it happened was I went down that wormhole, and I'd already prior to that had been like listening to the shows a little bit, not turning them on and watching them, but she would have them on. And I got to the point where you don't need to turn that down, because it was on the phone and it was nasally and it used to bug me. And I'm just like, what is this talking about now? The news, right? Doom and gloom. You really want to listen to that shit? But I really wasn't listening. And then when I did, I heard what Craig was saying about the commentary, like the vlog and the blog. I don't think that's what it was called then. Mm-hmm. And I was listening to what he was saying, and I was like, oh, he's not picking a side of there. He's just pointing out the bullshit on both. So it became interesting and kind of sucked me in a little bit. And then I remember telling you this, and you were you laugh about it now. And I said, you don't have to turn that down, because I'd be in the other room. I'd walk out like, nah, whatever. And then I'd be around the corner. Oh, what did he say? And then I literally would sit there and listen to stuff. And I don't know, stupid pride, ego that now I'm going to change my mind or something. I don't really have that. Maybe there was some of that. I don't know why. I still can't explain it to myself. But then when goddamn religion, I was like, what did he just say? I'm all, F yeah, that's right. Give it to him. I love that, right? Anything that, because when I was younger, I used to say, Jesus, effing Christ, anything to piss off Christian stuff and the negative, right? So when I heard that, I was like, oh man, that was like not so much a defining moment, but it was one of the many. And I started listening more and more. And then I just eavesdropping. Yeah. I was closet listening.
Like around the corner.
Yeah. I literally, I didn't put my hand up, but close. I was listening. I'd leave the bedroom door open. She had it in the other room, and it started to make sense. Reading from the Torah, not so much, because it was, very new. And even now there's a lot of meaty stuff. Right. So that was kind of a defining thing. And then the whole thing with politics, I had a long talk with Leah on the phone, and it was very enlightening. She's a very interesting person, very knowledgeable. But it was really cool. And she asked me a few questions that made me think about some things. And yeah, there was a ticking time bomb was one of the questions. Do you feel like there's something? And it was like, yeah. And the thing went off. I'm looking at society, looking at, the culture we have now with kids, people, races, whatever. And then economically, and then how we and other countries that always impose their will on other countries. Anyways, won't go into all that. But I was seeing that, and I was like, this is, in the last 5-6 years, like we're coming to an end here. And I didn't know that we literally are, things are going to drastically change, right? Tura, right? So
Before then.
yeah, so well, time of troubles, right, has begun. I mean,
Yes.
It's obvious. Everything that I see on the shows is prophetic. So if anybody has questions, watch them, and you can learn from that. So that's kind of when it happened. And then I decided, did the Shabbat show, and it was from that time on I started listening and understanding a little more. And it's not something for me. It was like instant. I know Yahowah.
There was also the hate as a virtue.
Oh yeah, I'd been saying that for years. And Leia's, well, there's a song now, but that's one of her favorite things. If you talk to her, it is important to have that. And for me, anything like that was always, that's bad. You shouldn't.
You can't love unless you know how to hate appropriately. Yep. And so, this one taught me so much about what real love looks like.
Oh, thank you. You taught me too. We're both. It's a team effort.
It is a team effort.
I didn't bring a box of tissues with
me. I know.
So I was gonna keep it down. All right.
Last night,
I'll just use my dress.
Last night she dropped off.
I saw her lean to the side.
Yeah.
Russell's like.
I was petting her shoulder. Yeah.
And
I was like, Mariah's crying again. Listen to the music. I know she is.
You didn't see my tears because I just go like this and play it off and open them up. But when I see her cry, it makes me sad. I mean,
they're so close to the surface these days.
Yeah. So that's when I started, reading. Mariah gave me the book, said Introductory to God, and Leia said the same thing. She goes, just read a book, just read, I mean, that's the thing. And so that's what I started doing, and then watching the shows. And since then, the shows are important. I mean, you think, reading is very important.
There's more though.
But
I was going to take a trip.
You're going to take a trip.
So yeah, remember?
Yes.
And so there was the hate is the virtue. And then I had planned to, and I didn't end up going, but I had planned to take a trip to the island to go visit for a week during Shabuah this year.
Yeah.
And I had my suitcase, and I'd bought it like a month before, and he saw it in there, and he was just like, and he finally asked me a question about it. And I said that I was going to go to the island for Shabuah. And he had this really intense feeling, and he asked me if I was coming back. And I said I wasn't sure. And it freaked him out, and he was freaked out. You were freaked out for a while.
Oh, I was, because when I asked the question, just how the conversation. Well, I've known her for several months at this point, and body language, like Craig said last night, she's an open book. So am I to each other. We are. I'm a little more poker faced when it comes to things because of business and just people in general. And when that was like raw and naked feeling when I asked her that question, and when she said that, I freaked out. I was just kind of like, because I'm not understanding her side of it, that things are going to be okay. For me, I'm just like, oh, you're not coming back. I'm going to lose you type thing, right?
And I said, you're more than welcome to come with me.
And then I was like, okay. But I remember there's this onions in here somewhere.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
I just remember
I must have
that night trying to lay on the bed and sitting next to her, and I just kind of, we have a king size bed and we sleep in the weirdest ways and mess. But I had my head next to a pillow where it's like I didn't want her to look at me, and I just felt I was laying there and I couldn't fucking breathe. I mean, I was just laying there sinking into the pillow, just kind of like the real thought of losing her. I've thought about it. We talk about things like that happening to each other, and we just stop because it just hurts too much. I have so much value for her and love her. It's not just being alone, but just not being around her, the person that she is. She's amazing. And so that freaked me out. And I was just kind of like, well, what do I do? It's like, woe's me, I'm going to be left alone, wham, all that stuff. And I guess just this very moment right now, I guess maybe that's what it took for me to go, well, what am I going to do? What do I need to do? I need to wake the fuck up wake up, and I need to understand, And so luck would have it that it'd been in there. I know it's a weird place for it, but in the bathroom, there's nothing to read except for the 5 conditions of the covenant on the wall and everything else around the house that she conveniently placed prior to me pulling my head out of my ass. And it was just like, and then reading it and stuff. And then the more I read, the more the skeptic bastard that I am couldn't find anything. And I'm just like, I'm not Mike the facts checker by any means, or Perry, of course, but just in my mind, as simple as that is, just reading things and how it makes sense, and just started the whole process. And there was some changes, and I went through some times of just kind of, oh gosh, like, wow, the realization of what's going to happen right in the next 7 years. And then I think everybody goes through it of, wow, everybody on the planet is going to be affected in more ways than one, right? And that whole thing of just like, that's crushing, right? The whole sadness there. And just recently, your family, friends, all that kind of stuff. And then recently I had a moment, it was before that, it's probably a few months back, where all of a sudden, this isn't real. This, Shibuya didn't happen. So I'm in my brain, I'm kind of like, well, maybe there's another time. Maybe, you start to think and look for the answers. Well, it's been, the times and dates are set, and then things could be off by whatever, or things could change. So it didn't really hit me. And then I had a few days where I came home and I was like literally bawling like a child when they've cried for too long, where you're just like, that kind of can't breathe shit. Because the realization of like, why am I doing this? Am I just hormonal or something? I'm like, whatever it is, testosterone lack or something's going on. But I just had this overwhelming sense of like, holy shit, this is real, because I'm feeling this, not I'm reading and going, oh yeah, okay. It was inside me. And why I was upset, because it sunk in that this is real. This is, to me, the factual thing. There is God, there's Yahowah. It's the thing I've always known when I was younger growing up. I put it on a shelf because it's like, you look around at all the religious bullshit and you're just kind of, none of this is real. This is crap. But we didn't get here by accident. I mean, mathematically, look where we're at. This planet, the universe. I mean,
it's over-engineered.
There's no way, if you have half a brain. I have 3/4, by the way. There's no way that you're just gonna go, oh yeah, it's chance and all that stuff.
Poof, out of these little things in a puddle or whatever.
Yeah. So it became very real.
Life.
Organization doesn't happen by accident.
Yeah. It's become very real, and just being around her wasn't the catalyst of like, oh well, I'll just go along to get along, that old saying, and I'll just do what she's doing. And it was, so it was very complicated to try to get where I'm at. But now that I am, and then also meeting people like you, there's human beings in here, and we're not supposed to be perfect, right?
That's
and
good.
We all have our sitting here, far from it.
Opposite of that.
Then talking to people, and it's one of those things where you talk to, I meet people and I can talk to people rather easily. That's my extrovert skill, but I leave it at superficial for the most part, because it would start talking about politics, religion, all the crap. And then right away, you just start to see that they view you differently, or you view them differently, right? Because it's just, you want to go down that argument of, it's not correct. I don't have the ammo and the tools to do that very well. But recently I found myself talking to people, and all of a sudden I'm like, wow, how do I know that? And I'm like, where did this come from? And I called Mariah and said, I just talked to somebody and just went down a list of, diffusing some of their things. And it's cool. I'm glad I'm here. Meeting Shannon, people like him.
Oh yeah.
That's a special man right there.
That was before.
I love that guy. And I wasn't part of Covenant. And I'm just like,
yeah,
I didn't get that
Shannon made
overwhelming, like
impression.
Gross, wipe that shit off when you leave, and I guess there's a skill, intellectual trauma, and we were watching this show on it, and Mariah was freaking out because all 10 points of it of, having that is because when you walk into one of them is walking into a room and reading people, because when you're getting abused, your mom, what kind of mood is she in right now? So you have to watch out for what the outcome is. Should I leave the room right now, or who's drunk right now and what's going to happen, and all that kind of stuff. Or when you're talking to somebody, the pause they have, the eye contact they have or don't have, body language, everything about it. I learned how to read that because
threat assessment.
Yeah. And so I'm very good at that, and it helped me in business for sure, to get the outcome you want in a meeting. You go in there prepared, but prepared for what? For what you have and what you want to say? How about knowing or thinking ahead of what they're going to say and what the outcome is? Not lying or manipulating, but just working it to where the individual, I know this person, I know how they act and how they think, so I'm going to work with that and use it. It's not just to win, but it's, the outcome, because we all have our things, right? So anyways, that's...
When did you celebrate your first Chag Matzah?
This year.
This year, yeah.
That's what I thought. So all of these are your...
He was there at a bunch of the other ones?
Well, we're not counting the other ones.
No.
This was by choice.
This was the first one where he...
Yeah. And so this whole year is going to be your first set of the Mikre, which is awesome. It's only my second. So Teru is coming up. So yeah, I got to get to some reading because, there's a lot of, I don't know, or have memorized all the stuff that might be related to it. So, but yeah, no, that's awesome. First set of Mikre, and then you'll get to do Chag Matzah again next year, and we'll get to zoom out of here and come back for Teru. Well, I don't know who all's coming back in 2030. Mariah might. I don't know if you or I will be, but we can watch from Shamaim and then come back on 2033 for the show and watch all these scumbags get what they deserve.
Yeah. I want to clarify something real quick too, is when she told me about that, there was the mixed emotions. I overanalyzed the shit out of everything. Pardon, keep swearing. But I overanalyzed stuff when she told me about Shabua. I was like, oh, well, out of fear, then, I need to do that too, because I want to be part of that and and the whole thing. And so I thought about all these things, and I was kind of like, well, is that why I'm doing it? I was very cloudy in my head prior to all this. I forgot to mention, for the last several years, I felt like I was in a cloud. Like, God, this is what it's like to get old. I couldn't focus, think about stuff, because I'm just watching shit implode, not just politically, economically, people falling apart, social media, just all the destructive things that are going on, right? These are very real, and I'm taking it personally and emotionally, just like, man, this is the end, right? So when she said that, I'm like, oh, well, I'll just do this. And, I didn't think that, but I was like, was that what you're doing? I mean, you didn't care before. Why are you doing? I'm just being the second person, just arguing with myself. Motivation. I'm like, why am I doing this? I'm like, well, maybe, of course, that's why you're doing it. It's like, no, because then when I found out you're not going to burn in hell if you don't go, believe in God and follow or whatever. I was like, there's three options. I'm like, yeah. So the three options.
I still struggle with that because I think that I did that originally, and maybe that's still my motivation. I don't know. I'm hoping it's not. I'm just keeping going because that's all I know to do. But it wasn't a fear about hell. It was a fear of living through Yaakob's troubles, dealing with all that stuff that was coming. You know what I mean? Because I already knew about the three outcomes, or at least being, taught to me by my mom and stepfather. It was more of a fear of being around when people are shooting people, nowhere to live, no food, things are blowing up. Am I still alive after a nuclear blast, but suffering from radiation poison? You know what I mean? That was my fear, because as it got closer, I'm still alive. There's a good, thought I'd die a long time ago, but I'm like, there's a good shot I'm going to still be alive during all this, So I don't know. I have a feeling that was my motive at some point, but like I said, I'm just trying to keep going. And, if it's a cerebral thing, like Yada says sometimes, then maybe through the knowledge and continuing to go, you learn new things and the love grows. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I'm just going. I'm just going and trying not to give up on anything. And that's all I really got.
That's how I'm doing it. I mean, because obviously very new to things. And that's why jumping around from the books, I'm not trying to find a phrase or a page that's going to answer everything. Uh-oh, Mark froze up there.
Yeah,
I'm not going to find a phrase or a page that's going to, it's a fix-all or you're going to know everything, because how I've been reading, I'm sure I'd be much further along if I wouldn't read a page. The next day I come back, read how much I read, and go, I'd start reading, did I read this page? Because the bookmarks, I have a little trouble on the ask, or on the site, I should say. So I would just read it and like, okay, I need to read this again. So, because, are we freezing up, or he's just freezing up?
I'm still here, I think.
Okay, no problem. You're there.
It's just his feet. We should be fine.
So yeah, what it is just far as reading, And even listen to the audiobooks, which I love. It's great because when I'm driving, but I just play them over and over. I'd be further along with those too, but I play it over to where I listen to it and go, what? And then I'd listen to the page again another day, or even just do the page again. And there's times she gets it. Sometimes I call her up and I'm all excited and I was like, I just understood what the hell this meant. It's like, I get it, and it's just a paragraph of something. And for me, and when that happened, started happening, I was like, oh, I need to do this all the time, because just reading through stuff doesn't do me a damn bit of good. Knowing something, anybody can read it and just go, okay, yeah, I got that. I can paraphrase, I can parrot stuff all I want, but understanding it and feeling it, and it's like, this comprehension is huge. So everybody's at a different rate. Some people can read stuff, I don't have an eidetic memory, so it's like, whatever.
I'm no farther along than you. I may be behind you. I don't know. I constantly struggle with time management in my schedule in my life, and finding a way to devote more time, because I feel like I devote a very tiny amount. But I don't know what else to do other than just to keep waking up every day and trying, like, all right, I'm going to do better. I'm going to do better today. And most of the time I don't, but just keep, trying to do that.
Even if it's just 5 or 10 minutes here or there, like just.
Yeah. It's good to have a benchmark.
To think about.
And using somebody else as like a comparison. It's like, well, they're reading, I should do more, and their schedule's similar to mine. Well, here's a benchmark for all of us. Do you think Craig ever feels like he should do more, or has done enough? Think about that, right? So then we can just shut the.
I don't know. He might not anymore.
No, I know.
25 years. He's probably like, I know I'm doing what I need to do, and we got these dates and these dates, and we're gonna have this time. And
it's just over at this point, as far as like, but he's still doing it. He's doing written in stone. I mean, we read that after the show last night, and it's one of those things where, do you think, it's like, I'm saying hypothetically, do you think sometimes he's like, I should do more, I need to do more, and he wants to, but there's only so many hours in the day. So with that said, what I was getting at is, use him as a benchmark, and we can shut the up and just keep doing what we can do, because there's your level right there's the bar. You know what I mean? But that's Yada. I mean, that's a whole
Yada and Dode,
right? Yeah. So, but you can use that, or you can use like how you already read this morning and stuff. I have a couple pages in, because I went to get donuts, and as soon as I get in the car now, it's seatbelt and glasses nearby in case I get pulled over. And I turn it on. I have my boom tube.
Who cares about the people on the road? I'm just gonna drive blind. But if those cops come and get me,
it's like, oh, it is a cop. No, I'm just kidding. No, I
smell bacon.
Yeah, it's on my license, right? So that's why. But I can read fine. Once I pass the sign right under it, I go, oh, that's what that street was. Anyways, no, but as far as what we can do and what we should do, I mean, you just got to do the best you can and try more. Time management, everybody, all of us. Not everybody, but some of us, it's a struggle, just figuring out, changing things. And for me, it's been a big change, because I was just into like reading as much as I could and learning. But then for me, I'm starting to get like this headache from here to the back of my head, like dehydrated from just the thoughts. Cause my mind is wild. It goes everywhere. I'm just constantly thinking, and there's no way to slow it down. And so when I started reading and focusing more, and the more I learned, the easier it got, because I would slow down and just focus on one thing. The ADHD stuff is just like, I've always been that way. Through trauma, ADD. No, what is it? ADHD?
ADD. Yeah. So you're not hyperactive.
No, but attention deficit disorder. So, but yeah, it's.
Well, hyperactive in the brain, maybe.
There you go, for sure. But yeah, as far as being here and knowing Yahowah and learning, it's been awesome. And I came in right at the time where, if I remember, one of the few shows after the first Shabbat show was on, because I watched shows prior to that, I heard Leah say, what did you just say? When she found out some news of how things drastically changed between Dode and Adam till now. So that in itself was like, what? And so I had to do a lot.
You mean you're talking about when he said that Adam's Dode's Adam?
Yes, and that's when it started, and now we got the 8 deployments, and now Leo's part in it, and just all the different things that have gone on. I have them all written down and have kind of a tree on there as to times and dates, because on different shows he mentions the dates and everything. It's all written down. So when I see that, skeptic person, I'm like, what? are you talking
What do you
about?
mean by dates? Dates of
Dates
events
of
that
when his
happened?
deployments, like when he was
So
Boaz, Adam,
Got you.
the whole thing, Craig,
and then the different dates that
yeah. And then being the Adam of Pra, and just the whole thing was kind of like, so if you're new, like I am, was very well, still new, very new, but was then, it's like, what's going on? How many times has this kind of thing happened since? And, you know, luckily I have my cheat sheet here, which I try not to use, but I had the questions, and I'm like, and what I meant by, oh, I didn't say it, but I'd have bad days. What that meant was, really, what is going on with all this? I don't know enough to make a real judgment on it, but, you know, figuring out the soul deployment thing of like, you know, you think, you're like, what are you talking about? This is crazy. Talk to me. It sounded strange, right? But then you think about it. Okay, dummy, who's Yahowah? He's God, right? Well, how did we get here?
Yeah.
He can pretty much do any of that stuff, and there's a reason why. It's pretty obvious, right? So there was always an answer for things, and they were solid answers, not, well, here, just pray, just have faith shit, you know. I'm like, no, I need to know. It has to be cut and dry for me. And if it's not cut and dry, and it's not for me, then I need to read more. I need to understand. I need to, you know, say, Smooth, why is, you know, and ask her. But I try not to. We have this rule, and we should probably end this soon. We have a rule of like, when I'm reading something, I'll come in and butcher a word trying to pronounce it, and she'll go, oh, you know, I'd try to pronounce it, and she'd say what it was, the meaning, and just everything. I'm like, that's what I came to tell you. I'm trying to get this solidified in my brain. So now when I say something, she'll like, yes, okay, that's the word. This is how you pronounce it. And so then I would do it, because when I'd write it down, I always couldn't do it. I go in the glossary, and it's in there for the most part, to how to pronounce things. But yeah, it's been cool. But she's been a great help. But I'm trying not to use that, because my relationship with Yah is mine. Like, all of us are individuals. Yeah. So I'm trying to make sure I keep it that way, because what an asset. I mean, she knows and understands things. I mean, so, you know, it's good for me. But it's embarrassing also. I'm just going to admit that it's been embarrassing a little bit for me to have been so effing dumb for so long about it.
Stubborn.
And stubborn. Not dumb, but just stubborn about it, naive to it, and just kind of So
I look at that all the time about, you know, wish I would have 20 years ago, whatever. And my mom and stepfather, I don't know, it had to have been a decade or more. They were telling me things about it. I just didn't choose to engage in it, you know. And of course I wish I would have, because now you look at the time frame, it's like, do I make Shabuah? Do I not make Shabuah? But even if I do, I'm still, there's so much time wasted that I could have done so much more. But then that's why I get on myself now about, when I say time management, say, okay, you still have the next 9 months.
Right.
Like, what are you going to do now?
Yeah.
But it's hard to change your mindset to it's only 9 months. I only have 9 months. It's only 9 months. So anybody can do anything for 9 months. You know what I mean? But
Mark,
easier said than done.
Yeah. Just the other day, I don't have it right now, but I'm not looking at the clock on there anymore. I'm not focused on that. But we have this thing where we're going to see each other in the day. And, you know, so sometimes I'll text her, I'll see you tonight and stuff in hours. And now it's, I'll see you in minutes. So we say minutes, you know, it's this little thing we have. So there was 479,921 minutes the other day. Right. So I just Google it, right? It's easy. So I'd send that. And if you look at that, you're like 400,000. It's like, oh, but then look at it in a week and you're like, oh shit, what? That's the minutes of it. It sounds like a lot. With days, don't look at the days, man. Look at the minutes, because the days seem to fly by, but it's what we do with those minutes during that day is the finite. We break it down to that and go, man, there's 15 minutes I just wasted. Like, well, I wasted a whole day. It doesn't register in my mind as, okay, it's a day. But what about those minutes? Because those 15 minutes, I could have put more up here and more understanding.
Yeah.
You know,
all right. You got anything you want to add about your story? Because we'll sit here and just chat all day. Now it's just turned into our chat session.
I complain when I see videos that are long. I'm like, oh, man.
Oh yeah, this one went about a half hour longer than I would have thought, but that's okay. Yes. I personally, we can chat after if you want, but if you don't have anything else to add, or
I'd think about it afterwards, I'm sure. But no, I'm just glad that I'm here, you know, now.
I am ecstatic
and I'm having an understanding
that you are here now.
I'm glad you're here as well, Russell. And
it had to be
I'm glad I'm here. So
I'm glad you're here.
Yeah.
I'm glad to meet the people in the Covenant family. I'm glad. I don't doubt if Kevin will watch this whole thing, but I'm glad that Kevin, the glue, and Perry, Rich, just everything. Obviously, Yada, Leia, just the whole package. Joe behind the scenes. There's just so many people. Dr. Jeff, everybody, the whole list. Right.
Yeah.
This isn't the awards where I'm thanking everybody thing, but it's just amazing because when I hear people, and I'm good at reading people, and very good at it actually. Ask her. And then when I just hear people talk, I can see, I watch them. It's, not what they're saying, how they're saying it, the body language, and both those things. And I'm pretty decent at picking that up. But yeah, that's about it. I mean, it's just.
Kevin might watch this. People might watch this just because you and Mariah are on here because you guys are somewhat of celebrities. Kevin, that said, will probably watch it at 3 times the speed, like he tells me he does sometimes.
Yeah, there you go.
But he'll also be shaking his head probably, or doing face plants for me for all the excess stuff that's probably in here that we didn't need, that he would have edited out. But that's all right. That's how we do my shows. So
yeah.
All right. Well, on that note, I really appreciate you coming on, sharing your story. Thank you, everybody, for watching. On that note, I guess, Shabbat Shalom, and
Shabbat Shalom.
see everybody later.
Thank you, Mark.
My pleasure.